Hi there friends! If you're new, welcome to my channel. My name's Nicole and today I'm here with a review of Heathers the Musical at the Other Palace. So if you don't know, Heathers the Musical is running at the Other Palace currently up until August 4th. It is kind of a new and revised production of the original off-Broadway production of Heathers, which is based on the 1988 movie Heathers starring Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. Now, I actually recently watched the full movie for the first time. I'd seen it in like bits and pieces, but never the whole thing at once. And I actually think I prefer the musical. I saw the musical last weekend on Sunday after being at the West End live performance by Heathers as well. And I've got a vlog up about that on my channel, so I'll leave a link to that down below so you can watch that too if you want to. I've got a lot of notes here, but the first thing is, if you know Heathers, you know the part in Fight For Me when Veronica is like, damn, because that's how I feel about this show, honestly. This is such a gorgeous production. It feels like such a big show, even though it's in a fairly intimate venue, the Other Palace, which used to be, I think, the St. James Theater. But it's just glorious. So if you don't know what Heathers is about, it's basically the story of this high school girl in America named Veronica Sawyer, and how she kind of becomes friends with this clique of popular girls called the Heathers, because they are all named Heather. Heather Chandler, McNamara, and Duke. And it's also about her relationship with her boyfriend, JD, or Jason Dean, who has some fairly scary tendencies in terms of wanting to, like, cleanse the population. I think I can talk about this. I'm gonna try not to give too many spoilers, but I think a lot of people know the plot of Heathers from the movie, even if they don't know the show, the musical that well. So I think I can get by with saying that. But it deals with a lot of big issues like bullying and teen suicide and kind of the whole high school experience and, you know, manipulative and emotionally abusive relationships. And it's quite something. It is, I will say, a bit on the provocative side. I mean, nothing too bad. Some, you know, people in their underwear, some swearing, some... I mean, it discusses suicide a lot, so I guess that is fairly provocative. But maybe not one to bring, you know, younger siblings to. One thing that I really love at the Other Palace that they're doing, and I think they did this off-Broadway as well, is that whenever you're coming in before the show and during the interval, they've got like 80s music playing, which really gets you into the mood. It's really fun. It's also, whenever I was there with my friend Rhiannon, and it was such a nice, like, atmosphere because everyone there seemed so excited for the show and so genuinely pleased with it, so that was really nice. So this show has some amazing music by Kevin Murphy and Larry O'Keefe. I'm just checking my notes to make sure I get names right. Some of my favorite songs are, of course, Dead Girl Walking and Candy Store, and also Freeze Your Brain, which is one of my favorites, which I've been singing all the time. But I actually think my favorite song might be Fight For Me, which is one of Veronica's solos really early on in the show. So I would love, if you know Heathers the Musical, for you to tell me what your favorite songs are in the comments, because I feel like there's some really underrated songs in it that never really hit me whenever I was listening to the off-Broadway cast album, but I really loved in the production. And I really, really, really hope that there is a cast album made with this cast because they are so amazing. I think, prefer them to the off-Broadway cast. But I also just think with such an amazing production that is completely sold out right now, although they are doing a lottery every week, that they should make a cast album. Now, this production is directed by Andy Fickman, who is amazing. Also, fun fact, I was at the Adelphi on Monday getting a day seat for Kinky Boots, and he walked through the lobby. And I don't really know what he was doing there, but I was like, oh my god, it's Andy. But in any case, he is such a good director. I think that everything that they've done with the show and the way that they've fitted it into the space and onto the set is so cool. It's the coolest set. It's got so many different moving set pieces. It's got like a 7-Eleven counter. It's got beds, it's got a window. My favorite thing on the set is the window because like some of the plotline actually revolves around like JD coming through Veronica's window and Veronica going through JD's window into his bedroom, and I thought having the actual window to climb through was such a nice touch. I really enjoyed that. Now, this is a new and improved version of Heathers, so there's some changes to dialogue, some changed lines and songs, and there's also one song that's been removed, and there's 2 new songs. My least favorite song in the show has been taken away, thank God, and replaced by this new song called You're Welcome, which, if you know the show, fits into when let's just say that Ram and Kurt try to get with Veronica, and I think You're Welcome is so much nicer. I feel, you know, I like giving Veronica a voice in it. I feel like that's really nice. I feel like it just deals with the subject a little bit more delicately, and it's not as cringy as the song that used to sit there was, which I think was just called Blue. Wasn't a fan. But there also is a new song for Heather Duke, which is called Never Shut Up Again, and I love it. It's such a bop. It's basically after she becomes the head of the clique, let's say, that she sings a song called Never Shut Up Again, and I think it's amazing. I think that Heather Duke needed a song because obviously Heather Chandler kind of is the lead in Candy Store, and Heather McNamara has Lifeboat, so it was really nice to see her get a new song of her own, and Tashawn Williams, I think that's how you say her name, I'm really sorry if it's not, absolutely kills it. Speaking of Candy Store, I'm also so impressed with Gary Lloyd's choreography. I think all the choreography in the show is really nice. I like it because it gets some really nice dancing in without ever feeling like over choreographed, if that makes sense, but I'm really fond of it. And if you want to see some of the choreography, you can actually see Heather's performed 3 songs at West End Live. They did Candy Store, hence the choreography, 17 and Shine a Light, and you can find video of that if you look on YouTube, although I'll try and grab the official video and stick it down below in the description box. So as I said before, I'm totally in love with David Shields' design, and I also wanted to say I love the costumes in it. The Heather's costumes are so cool. I literally went out and bought a scrunchie to wear to the show, and I'm so glad that I did because we are bringing scrunchies back, folks. I love the Veronica costumes, both of them actually, and I think Carrie looks so nice in them. I love JD's coat. I kind of want one next winter. I love the costume, the whole ensemble. Like, it's such nice 80s-ish fashion. It's really lovely to look at. One last thing before I talk about some individual performances. I will say my only gripe with the show, and this is watching it as an American, is that occasionally the accents are a bit dodgy. It was kind of funny sitting in the audience because occasionally someone would hit a word and I'd be like, that's not an American accent. But overall, the accents are like fairly good to be a fully British cast doing an American show, and it kind of feels to me what it's like seeing Kinky Boots in America, where every so often one of the American cast members will hit a word and I'm like, that wasn't English, that was American. I mean, overall it's quite good, but like that's literally my only complaint with the show, is that occasionally I think only an American would probably notice it, but the accents do get a bit dodgy. So I want to touch on several performances. I will say the ensemble of the show are so impressive. They're so great. A lot of them play multiple characters, and they're really good at kind of making each character stand out. Like, I got an idea of each character's personality, especially, you know, the students in the school. Like, I just thought that was really lovely. Rebecca Locke makes an amazing Miss Fleming. Now, Rebecca Locke plays multiple roles throughout the show, but her big role is Miss Fleming. And I didn't think that I could enjoy Shine a Light. Like, listening to the old Off-Broadway cast album, it was always kind of one of those songs where I was like, I could leave this. But it's so good, and the way that they've choreographed it, and they have these lights, I don't want to give away like what they are because it's one of the big, amazing moments in the show, I think, for me. But it's so good. And again, like, if you go watch the West End Live videos, you can see Rebecca Locke doing it. But she's phenomenal. And she's so funny, too. Like, she's just killing it. Okay, so can I just say that Christopher Chung and Dominic Anderson as Kurt and Ram are amazing. They make all of Kurt and Ram's parts so nice, and they're actually like kind of weirdly sympathetic. Like, Kurt and Ram are some of the antagonists of the piece, I would say. Like, they're not very good characters, but there were moments where I was like, oh, there's this bit in, what is it, Our Love is God, where Ram shows up in this like tie over a t-shirt, and in the dialogue at one point he's like, it's my favorite tie, and I was like, oh my god, I love that. Like, they're just both so good. They're such impressive vocalists. Everything that they did I was so impressed with. Like, I thought that they're nailing their roles. Okay, so the Heathers. First, I want to talk about Sophie Isaacs as Heather McNamara because she is amazing. It's like watching Glinda Heather. She's also like significantly shorter than the other two, which is really cute, even though I do think her heels may be the highest because I was looking at the shoes because they're amazing. But she is so good in Lifeboat, and I like that she kind of builds a really relatable McNamara from the beginning. you know, you can kind of see that maybe she fell in with the Heathers for some of the same reasons that Veronica does. And she's so amazing. Every time that she's on stage, especially with the dancing, she's such a good dancer. It's hard, like, not to just watch her in the Heathers scenes, I think, sometimes. But she's really great. Tashon Williams, as I said earlier, is so good as Heather Duke. She's so, like, cool and calculating, and it's really amazing. It's a great characterization of the character, and she absolutely kills the new song Never Shut Up Again. I think that she's really great in the role as well. And of course, Jodie Steele as Heather Chandler. God, does this woman kill it. That's kind of a weird thing, I guess, to say in the context of this show, but she's so good as Heather Chandler. Like, I can honestly believe that if she went to my high school, I'd be like, yeah, cool, she's in charge, that's fine, I'm not gonna cross her. She's so good at the dancing. I loved her in Me Inside of Me when she's kind of flitting around the stage watching all the rest of the students. She was so funny. Like, she's so good both at the dramatic elements and the funny bits. And then, of course, she's a great dancer and a great vocalist, and I just think Jodie Steele's like the ultimate Heather Chandler. And I, of course, have to talk about Jamie Muscato as JD, or Jason Dean. He is so good in the role. I will say my only gripe with him is that it's hard to believe that he's 17. Like, obviously, everyone playing their character is older than their character actually is. Carrie actually fairly convincingly comes off as 17. I think that the shorter hair helps. But that's the only bad thing that I could talk about with Jamie Muscato, because he is so good in the role. His Freeze Your Brain is definitely one of the highlights, as is Our Love Is God. I also have to say, I'm not actually sure what this says about me, but Meant to Be Yours, which is one of JD's big songs towards the end of the show, is one of my favorite numbers, maybe top 3 in the whole show, because Jamie just kills it. His JD is so charming, like dangerously charming and clearly intelligent, and I think it's just the perfect interpretation of the character. Honestly, I find him a lot more compelling and a lot more appealing than Christian Slater in the film, actually. But he definitely does a good job of showing, like, from early on, even though, like, he seems really lovable and wonderful in a way, that there's something wrong there. But I also really loved in the dance scenes that he's a part of, like in Shine a Light, he does all the dancing kind of with this, like, smirk on his face that, like, makes it seem very ironic almost. Like, I'm ironically dancing to Shine a Light, which is so in character and makes so much sense, but also is so funny that it was hard, like, not to watch him during the dance scenes, even though really I want to be watching Sophie Isaacs. And finally, I have to talk about Carrie Hope Fletcher as Veronica Sawyer. Now, whenever Carrie was cast, there were some people who felt that she wasn't a good fit for the part, and I defended her all over Twitter, so I could not be more thrilled to say that I was completely right. I think that she is amazing as Veronica. Like, the thing is, not only is she vocally perfect for the role, like, her dead girl walking is so good, obviously it, like, fits really nicely within her vocal range, but her interpretation of Veronica is my favorite ever, I think. I'm not crazy about what I've heard, obviously I didn't get to see her, but on the album, about Barrett Wilbert Weed as Veronica, actually, compared to Carrie. I know that's, like, sacrilege in the Heathers fandom, but for me, Barrett's Veronica is a Veronica that I can't relate to at all. I love Barrett as Janice in Mean Girls, but I feel like she plays the roles rather similarly. And her Veronica to me can feel a bit cold, and a bit, like, too edgy. Like, I don't understand why she would fall in with the Heathers necessarily, whereas Carrie's Veronica is really warm and almost naive. Like, there's a bit where, not that long after she and JD have gotten together, she meets his dad and she's like, well, his dad will definitely not be giving a speech at our wedding. And with Carrie's Veronica, I totally get, she's probably got notebooks with, like, Mrs. Jason Dean and, like, Mrs. Veronica Dean written all over it. You know, I see her as the kind of girl who would be friends with Martha and who would fall into with the Heathers because she wants to be accepted and she just wants, you know, to feel okay, and she is bothered by people's criticism. And she's so warm and just absolutely lovely. Like, and she also, I think, is the perfect Veronica who would be vulnerable to JD, and who would be easily won over by him. So I just, like, I love her Veronica so much. I found her so relatable for the first time. Even with Winona Ryder in the film, I was kind of like, this is a really good performance, but I can't relate at all. So I think that's Carrie is in every way like the perfect Veronica for me because she's the first Veronica I've ever really identified with. And I do think that she provides such a good foil to the Heathers. I love that she's kind of a nerdy Veronica, you know, especially in the beginning. But she's just great. Like, I honestly, I never thought that she would top Eponine for me in terms of my favorite roles for her. But I actually think this may be my favorite role that I've seen her in. And I've seen her in Addams Family, Les Mis, and now Heathers. And I honestly can't say enough good things about her Veronica. I just am so in love with this production. I'm going to be entering the lottery every single week to try and see it again because it is sold out. I may even go and queue up for the returns at some point and see if I can get anything. Also, I'm wearing my new Heathers t-shirt. Sorry, it's a bit creased because I've not actually washed it yet, but I'm so in love. They have a lot of merch for the show, but whenever I went a week after opening, it was actually, they were sold out of a lot of stuff. So I think I'm going to go back at some point and see if they get the notebooks back in and the play script because I really want to be able to like read the script and digest it better. And I might go through and like make notes on things that I really liked in the production because I like to do that with play scripts. But I did get this and the program, which is really cool. I don't think I have another one of this size. It's really quite nice. And I also got the compact mirror, which is really cool. It says "What's your damage?" on it. So I may have to return to buy more merch. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this. Please do let me know in the comments down below if you have seen the show and what you thought of it, or if you're going to see the show, or if you want to. I would love to discuss it more with you guys. Also, if you got to the end of this video, which I'm sure will be long, then please let me know down below who your favorite character in Heathers is. I think that my favorite character is Veronica, but my favorite character in terms of like what they sing is JD. I love JD's music. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I am almost at like 320, which I know doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is to me because every time I get a new subscriber, I like want to cry. I'm so happy. I will also leave links to my social media down below and my blog if you'd like to check those out as well. And as I said before, my vlog of the day that I saw Heathers and went to Weston Live and saw them perform there. All right, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video and I'll see you again next week. Bye! You're planning your future, Veronica Sawyer. You'll go to some college and marry a lawyer, but the sky's gonna hurt when it falls. So you better start building some walls. I'm kidding.